He sat there, alone in the living room one afternoon. Sunlight poured through the window, landing on the old wedding photo hanging on the wall. They once held hands across the world, from their youthful days to the time they retired. But now, between them, there was a silence, a distance he could not name. His wife was still there, caring for him with all her love. But he stayed quiet, not because he no longer loved her, but because his body no longer listened the way it used to. He had once been strong, active, full of life. Now, even something as simple as getting an erection had become a heavy challenge. At night, when she gently touched his hand, he couldn't look her in the eyes. His silence wasn't just about his body. It was about pride, about the connection he thought he had lost. And the most painful part, he didn't know why it was happening. Here's what few people ever tell you. Erections are not just about age. They are not just about the body wearing down. They are a finely tuned reflex between the brain, the nerves, and the blood vessels. When a man is aroused, the brain sends signals down to the pelvic nerves. Those signals release a molecule called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide relaxes and widens the tiny arteries inside the penis. Blood flows into two spongy chambers called the corpora cavernosa. As they fill, veins compress, trapping blood inside, and the penis becomes firm. This entire cascade depends on that one molecule, nitric oxide. Medications like Viagra don't create desire. They simply boost your body's ability to keep nitric oxide active a little longer. But if you live with diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or years of smoking, those delicate nerves and vessels may already be damaged. The brain may still send the message, the desire may still burn, but the body fails to respond. And if you live under constant stress, cortisol levels rise, the sympathetic nervous system stays switched on. Your body locked in fight or flight. Erections, on the other hand, require the opposite. The parasympathetic state, the deep relaxation where blood vessels open and flow returns. This is not the end of the story. It's a signal that it's time to look at your sexual health with honesty, with science, and without shame. Walter once was a chief engineer, the kind of man who could control every variable, manage every project, every team. But no one ever taught him how to face it when his own body stopped obeying. After prostate surgery, his doctor told him he had healed well. But the truth was, he could no longer maintain an erection like before. At first, he thought it was fatigue, or maybe just age. But week after week, month after month, nothing changed. So he stayed silent. He didn't tell his wife. He didn't ask his doctor. Like many men in their 60s, he quietly withdrew from intimacy, as if pulling back could protect his pride. What Walter didn't know was that erections are not broken forever. They are a chain of events, and chains can be reconnected. The brain sends a signal through the pelvic nerves. Nitric oxide is released. Arteries expand. Blood enters the corpora cavernosa. The veins close to trap it, and an erection holds. If any one of these links is weak, damaged nerves from surgery, diabetes, spinal degeneration, or hardened arteries, the whole response collapses. But none of it means it's over. It means the system needs to be retrained, reconnected, reawakened. Arthur's story is different. At 71, he still wakes at 5 a.m., drinks his black coffee, and walks his neighborhood. A tough man, private, the kind who doesn't complain, especially about things like that. He tried the little blue pills. Sometimes they worked, but they left him flushed, pounding heartbeat, splitting headaches. Soon, he feared the side effects more than he feared failure. Then one day, at a community health talk, he heard a phrase that stuck: the parasympathetic nervous system. A thought struck him. Maybe the problem wasn't just down there. Maybe his whole body was too tense, too locked up. The truth is, our bodies have special gateways. Not magic buttons, but regions that, when touched with awareness, can help restore blood flow, calm the nervous system, and bring the body into the state where erections happen naturally. There are three main ones, just above the pubic bone, the suprapubic area, rich with pelvic nerves near the prostate, the space between the scrotum and the anus, the perineum, packed with sensory nerves and pelvic floor control, the inner thighs, home to the femoral arteries and nerves that supply the entire pelvis. When Arthur combined gentle massage of these points with slow, deep breathing, something shifted. His body began to relax. His blood vessels softened. The fight or flight eased. He added small rituals, a glass of warm water each morning to thin the blood and help circulation. Cutting back on sugar, especially at night, knowing sugar scars the fragile lining of blood vessels. A light 15 to 20-minute walk after dinner, lowering blood sugar and boosting blood flow. Most of all, he stopped fighting his body. He stopped blaming it. He began to listen, to respect it, to be patient, the same way he had been patient with his wife for decades. And then, one quiet night, when his wife touched his hand under the soft lamplight, he did not pull away. No pressure, no pills, just connection. Gentle, but profound. Then there is George. At 74, this retired philosophy teacher that lives a quiet life, reading books, tending his garden, slowing down beside his wife of more than 40 years. But lately, he felt something inside him fading. Not illness, not fatigue, something more subtle, as if a vital part of his being was slowly disappearing. He still loved his wife. He still felt closeness. But his body no longer answered. No more strong mornings. No more spark of anticipation. He began to believe intimacy was now only a memory. Until one day, in an old book, he stumbled on a phrase, Hua Yin, CV1. In Eastern medicine, this point between the anus and the genitals is called the source gate, the place where vital energy begins. In Qigong, meditation, acupuncture, it is the root of life force, tied deeply to male vitality. George was skeptical, but he wasn't desperate. He simply decided to try, not for a miracle, but to listen to his body in a new way. Each morning he sat on a cushion, spine tall, eyes closed. He placed his attention on that point, without force, without analysis. He breathed in deeply from the lower belly and exhaled slowly, as if each breath was washing away tension he hadn't noticed before. Within a week, he felt something shift. His body responded more quickly. His spirit felt more connected. Life wasn't outside anymore. It was quietly returning from within. And modern science is beginning to confirm this. Studies from Harvard and Oxford show that mindfulness meditation and slow breathing lower cortisol, calm the sympathetic system, and activate the parasympathetic. When this happens, testosterone rises. Dopamine and oxytocin increase. Blood flow to the genitals improves. Erectile function is supported, naturally. George didn't just restore intimacy. He restored his outlook. He went from surrendering to age, to leading his life again, refusing to let the past define his present. Sometimes in the evenings, George sits quietly on the porch, listening to the wind in the trees he planted with his wife after retirement. She sits beside him, touching his hand. No words needed. Between them is connection again. Not just physical, but emotional rebirth. And he knows the change didn't come from a pill. It came from understanding, from patience, from listening to himself. Erections. We think of them as a mechanical reflex, but in truth, they mirror everything. The nervous system, the blood vessels, our habits, our emotions, and the way we treat our bodies every single day. They don't vanish with age. They fade with disconnection. And like any connection, they can be rebuilt. By now, you've seen the whole picture. The role of blood, nerves, and nitric oxide. The three hidden points on the body that can restore flow. The way stress locks the system, and how breath can unlock it. And the real stories of Walter, Arthur, and George, men who found their vitality again when they turned inward. Now it's your turn. There is no magic formula, only small steps that together can restart the entire system. A glass of warm water in the morning, 5 minutes of slow belly breathing, gentle touch on the pelvic gateways, less sugar at night, a short evening walk, and above all, patience and respect for your body. You don't need to become the man you were 30 years ago. You only need to become the man you are today. Still loving, still alive, still reaching for the world with presence. If you've listened this far, I believe you're ready. Stay with me on this journey. Ahead, we'll keep exploring, not with noise or gimmicks, but with depth, with science, with ancient wisdom, with practices that bring real peace back into your body. If you found this valuable, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next videos, where we continue to uncover what both modern science and ancient traditions now agree on. That vitality is never lost. It only waits for you to touch it again. Thank you for staying with me until the end. And if something inside you has just stirred awake, listen to it. Because life is still here, very real, very near, right inside you.